Good morning, everyone. My name is Rodney Mendoza. After watching the documentaries about HIV and poverty, I realized that these issues are much deeper than I first thought. Before, I mostly saw HIV as a health problem and poverty as a simple having little money. However, the documentaries helped me understand that both affect a person's dignity, confidence, and place in society. What touched me the most was seeing how people living with HIV often experience discrimination and judgment. Some are afraid to tell others about their condition because they worry about being rejected or treated differently. Instead of receiving support, many feel isolated and misunderstood. I realized that living with HIV is not only about managing an illness, but also dealing the negative attitudes of other people. One story that stay with me was about a gay man who was living with HIV. He shared about difficult it was for him to accept his condition because he was afraid that people will judge him for both his sexuality and his illness. He wanted to be treated like everyone else, but many people only saw him through stereotypes. Another story was about a man who acquired HIV and struggled to tell his family because he feared disappointing them. These experiences made me realize that HIV does not choose a person's gender, sexuality, or background. Anyone can be affected, and everyone deserves understanding and support rather than criticism. The same is true. People living in poverty is not only about lacking money, it also means having limited opportunities, struggling to access education and healthcare, constantly worrying about meeting basic needs. The documentaries shows how hard many families just to survive. Yet, they still face many challenges. Every day, it made me appreciate the opportunities I have and remind me not to take them for granted. Was also was also moved by the story of an elderly woman who continued working despite her old age because she had not able source of income. Instead of spending her remaining years resting and enjoying time with her family, he need to think every day about how to buy food and medicine. Her situation showed me that poverty can take away a person's sense of security and force them to keep struggling even when they should already be cared for them for I already be cared for and supported. One idea from our lecture on Emmanuel Levinas stay with me is that concept of responsibility for others. Levinas believes that when we encounter someone who's struggling, we already have a responsibility to acknowledge and respond their situation. We should not ignore people simply because their struggles are different from ours. Instead, we should recognize their dignity and treat them with understanding and respect. Think this think this idea is important when talking about HIV and poverty. Many people tend to judge others without knowing their stories. Sometimes we easily assume that people are responsible for their own hardships, but the documentary showed that many factors such as lack of education, limited opportunities, and social stigma make their situation more difficult. As a Levinas teaches, our first response should not be judgment but compassion. As a student, I know that I cannot solve this problem on my own. Still, I believe I can make a different through small actions. I can educate myself about HIV, avoid spreading stereotypes, and treat people fairly, regardless of treat people uh, regardless their background or condition. I can also be more mindful of those who are struggling and offer support whenever possible. Even listening to someone and showing kindness can help them feel seen and valued. Watching the documentaries and learning about Levinas changed the way I think about social issues. They remind me that being human is not only about caring for ourselves, but also about being aware of the needs of others. We might not be able to remove everyone's suffering, but we can choose to respond with empathy, respect, and compassion. In doing so, we help create a community where people feel accepted, supported, and treated with dignity. Thank you.